This is the first video tool review that I'm doing for 2014. In fact, it's the first tool review that I'm doing, period. I haven't done these in the past, but I think that it's something that would help other people out there that are do-it-yourselfers and like to work on cars, motorcycles, anything mechanical. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about cordless impact drivers. You've got 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/2 inch. What we're going to be talking specifically today, and the review that we're going to be doing today, is on 3/8 inch impact drivers. And I have a specific review that we're going to go through in just a few minutes. Before I do that, some people are like, well, why are you doing, talking about cordless drivers? Because number one, they're extremely popular. They've come down in price a whole lot, so that most people can now add them to their toolbox. And the reason that I think you should probably go ahead and put one in your toolbox, like I've done in mine, is because the old standby, which was the pneumatic or air-operated guns, are great. Generally, they're a lot cheaper than a comparable electric one. But there's a lot of people that they don't have a room or a place to put a compressor. Maybe you're four-wheeling, you're out on the trail, you go to the motorcycle track, whatever, and most people don't have the means to carry around a compressor with them, so a cordless driver makes a lot of sense. Now, specifically on the 3/8, I think the 3/8 driver is probably the one that, out of the 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2, that you will use the most. And let me tell you why. The torque range that a 3/8 works in is the torque range that most people are going to be using when they're under the hood of a car, working on your dirt bike, things like that. If you work at, say, a salvage yard or a place that you're doing a lot of heavy dismantling, you work on heavy construction equipment, things like that, you're probably going to want a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 inch. But the very first cordless driver that I think you should probably put in your toolbox would be a 3/8. Now, people say, well, how do I know which one to buy? Okay, there's tons and tons of brands out there. I've used Milwaukee, I've used Ryobi, Makita, Bosch, Dewalt, and to be honest right now, 2014, most of these are made in China. Some of them are made in Japan. Most of them, the batteries are made in one place, the driver's made in another place, the charger's made in another place, the case is made in another place. So I think that pretty much the field is level as far as the quality goes. And I can't tell you which quality to buy, but I'm going to give you a couple points, a couple things to look for when you're out shopping for an impact driver. Number one, the first thing I look at is how much power does it have, and this is usually explained in volts. You see the driver's 12 volts, or it's 14.4 volts, or 18 volts, or 20, 24. Generally speaking, not always 100%, but generally speaking, the higher the voltage rating on the driver, the longer it's going to last, and the more torque it can have. Okay, that's not a hard, fast rule, but generally a 20-volt driver is going to have a lot more power than, say, a 12-volt. All right, the second thing that I look for is torque rating. Now, be careful with this when you're shopping around. Sometimes they will advertise this in inch-pounds, or really it's foot-pounds is what most people talk about, pounds-feet. It's the same thing, but we'll say foot-pounds. So make sure that if it says that this will do up to 1,200 foot-pounds, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of torque, but you have to divide that by 12 to get, or 1,200 inch-pounds, you have to divide that by 12 to get foot-pounds. So just make sure that you compare one or the other to another driver that you're looking at. The other thing is, which is very important, is generally speaking, since you're going to be using it a lot, you want it to be fairly lightweight, you want it to be balanced. Pretty much all 3/8 drive impact wrenches are around the same size. Some of them are smaller, some of them are shorter, some of them have the nose cones in the front are shorter, some of them considered compact. But what I want you to really think about is, what are you going to be using the driver for? If you're like me and you use it under the hood of your car, truck, or on your motorcycle you're working on, you want it to have really good weight distribution, you want it to be balanced. I don't want something that's really as big as, say, a 1/2 inch driver because I'm not going to be able to get to a lot of places in the engine compartment that I want to get to. Now, with that being said, most people buy tools now online. Whether you go to Amazon or Snap-on or Mac or some of these tons of other places that sell tools, you can't put that tool in your hand, which is another good reason to have a tool review. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this is subjective. What I'm telling you, it's just how it feels with you operating it. But I just wanted to give you these points to consider and to think about when you're out shopping for a tool. Now, the tool that I'm going to be showing you today is one I had researched for quite some time. I have probably been looking about a year or so, not really too hard, but on and off for a year to find one that met my criteria. And I'm getting ready to show you that tool next, and we'll go ahead and explain exactly why I chose that one.
Alright guys, here's what we've got. I'm working with a Dewalt. This is a 3/8 inch drive. The part number, if you're interested, is a DCF883M2. This is a 20 volt. It's lithium ion battery. This particular model comes with a 3-year warranty. It's got a 1-year free service guarantee, etc., etc. So this is not an unboxing. I can't stand unboxings, but this is basically the way the package comes. So I'm going to pull this out and we're going to see exactly why I chose this. Alright, so it comes in a nice carrying case if you're into keeping your tools like that. And here's what we got. It comes with a charger. It's got 2 batteries. Now generally when DeWalt ships out a tool like this, it's already got some kind of a charge, and it does. It's about 2/3 charged. So this is what I'm talking about as far as being compact. This is considered a compact 3/8 drive. As I said before, it's 20 volt. It's very easy. Just press that button and that slides off just like that. The tool is extremely light. I think this is only a little over 3 pounds, but this thing is a workhorse. It's got some good torque specs. I'm going to give you those specs in just a minute. But you see it's got some LED lights on the front, and that helps to illuminate the work. If you want to change the direction, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, tighten or loosen, you just press that like that. And in the middle, it locks the grip, which is nice. I want you guys to look. This right here, when I'm talking about the snout, is very short. This entire assembly right here that's got the motor in it, it's got the gears for the for the working end of it, is, as you can see my hand, it's not very big at all. This would be a great tool for working under the hood of a car. Okay, it's small, it's very powerful, it's light, and it's very well balanced. Now again, balance is subjective, but I have been doing this more than 30 years, and I can tell you that this tool is well balanced. The charger is just your standard DeWalt tool charger if you've ever had one before. They're pretty much all the same. You know, it's got your standard plug, and just go ahead and pop that in there and charge your batteries. Now, this tool specifically, the weight is 3.4 pounds. The length is 5.5 inches. Now, here's one thing that really impressed me. This tool has a torque of 130 pound-feet, or foot-pounds as people say, which is the same thing as 1,560 inch-pounds or pounds-inches. So, the question is, will this take a lug nut off? The answer is yes, it will. Now, if the lug nut's been on there for 8 years and you live in one of the salt states that use salt and it's rusted on there, this is probably not going to take it off. But a regular lug nut, which most lug nuts are put on around 70 to 80 foot-pounds, yes, this will take it off. This would be a great tool to put in your trunk when you're going on vacation. You know, it's very versatile. So, as I said again, this would be a really good addition to people's toolbox. So, you know, tool reviews are pretty much useless unless you actually see it operate. So, I'm going to reset the camera up and we're going to show you what this bad boy can do. Alright guys, I've got the impact driver out. I've got a 17 millimeter 3/8 drive socket on here. I'm going to take one of these lug nuts off. I have not loosened them. These lug nuts probably haven't been off in, I would say, probably 4 months. So we're going to see if this tool can take these lug nuts off. Now these lug nuts I know are on there around 80 foot-pounds. So make sure it's in the loosened position. Absolutely no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one back on. Hey, anytime you're tightening up any bolts, make sure that you start them hand tight first, and then go ahead and put them on with this. Okay, we'll do another one just to make sure that wasn't a fluke. Okay, no problem. No problem at all. Like I said, if you have lug nuts that have been on for years and years, like say you find something in a junkyard, will this tool take those lug nuts off? Probably not, because it's going to take more than 130 foot-pounds to remove them. In that case, you would want to use a 1/2-inch drive. But anyway, this tool is phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. As far as brand, if you have a favorite brand, go for it. I'm not that brand specific. I like what works, what has good specs on it. So, one other thing I wanted to tell you. Some people ask about how the socket is held on. There's two types of retaining. You can have this, what's called a hog ring clip, or you can have the ball detent. Most impact guns have this, which is the hog ring. Personally, I don't think one's better than the other. Most ratchets, if you look at the ratchets, they have the detent ball in it. Okay, you see that's the hog ring, and on a regular ratchet, you've got the ball. It's got the little spring in it. So what you'll find, even on most air impacts, you'll find it has the hog ring right there. Now, when this is new, obviously, it's going to be pretty tight. So just put it on and take it off with a purpose. Okay? You're not going to hurt the tool at all. I really hope that you guys found this tool review helpful. I just think it's probably a good thing for me to do. Please, if you would, leave a comment below. If you have some other tools that you would like to see reviewed, go ahead and put those in there, and maybe I can swing doing that. I do have a 1/2-inch tool review coming up on the cordless 1/2-inch drive, which we'll be going over just like we did on this one. And again, please, I'd really like your feedback. If you have different ideas for different videos that you think would help other people, then please leave a comment, send me a message, and let me know, and I'll do my best to try to accommodate that.